Hey everyone! So if you're watching this video, then you would have heard that Golem has just released its mainnet release for the new implementation of Golem, which is Yagna. And we're very excited about that, so we're going to actually go into a walkthrough, guiding you through as a requestor getting started on this mainnet beta 1 version. So to start you off, you first need to go to handbook.golem.network and then look for the Requestor quickstart section. So we'll go into that now. And the first steps are just to check the prerequisites that you fall in line with one of these prerequisites, and also depending on whether you want to use Python or Node.js, you would need to check the versions for that and ensure that you have the correct versions. We're just going to run through with the Python version today using the Python API. And you also need to check that you have the right Git version. I've already checked all these, so I'm just going to keep going through. And note that there's no crypto assets needed for now, so first we're actually going to run on Testnet to show you how to get started as a developer, and then I'll quickly go through Mainnet so you can run a couple of tasks hopefully on the Mainnet. So let's follow on to our quick and easy installation command. So we're going to copy this curl command, paste it into our terminal, which will install the beta 1 over Golem and allow us to go on Mainnet. And once that's done, we can check our version. We can see that we are on the correct version, and also check the GFTP versions. I've got both the correct versions, and if you've used Yagna before, you will need to purge your stale working directories, so previous versions especially. I've already purged, or I've got a fresh install, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to go and run the Yagna daemon. So there we are running the beta 1, and we can just leave this daemon to run in this shell. Now I'm going to go into a separate tab and continue on. The first step now that the daemon is running is to generate an app key that we'll use as a requestor. So we go Yagna app key create requestor. This last part, requestor, is just naming for our own reference what the requestor will be named. So it can be requestor, it can be testnet, just whatever you would like to call it. I'll just follow the steps, so we'll leave it as requestor. That is our key. We'll need this key later on, but we can bring it up at any point in time just using the next command. There we go, so we can see our key and also our address that was created locally for us, which we will use to pay on the Golem Network. So the next step is to fund on Testnet. So the default is to go Yagna payment fund, which will fund by default on CK-Sync for you, which is a layer 2 solution. There we go. So now we can see that we've been funded some Testnet GLM tokens to start. We can confirm this by going Yagna payment status. Good, so we've got our status, and following that we will need to initialize as a sender on the default CK-Sync. So we will do Yagna payment init or initialize sender. We've now completed that, and we will start our environment. So first we'll create an environment, and then we will activate the set environment. We will install our dependencies. Go, and Yapapi is the Yagna Python API that we'll be using. That's done. And the next step is to git clone Yapapi. We've already cloned Yapapi, so we can continue on. So I'm going to change into the Yapapi directory and check out the branch that we would like to check out, which is the bo5. And here is where you will need the app key that you created earlier. So we will scroll up to the top and grab our app key. And we will export that. And from here, we can start our first task. So we're going to run an example task, which is just a quick Blender. So we go change into the Blender examples folder and go Python blender.py. And now we are running our first tasks on the testnet for the beta 1. But we will also go into showing you some tasks running on Mainnet. I will show you how to acquire some tokens quite quickly, but from my side I've already acquired some tokens and it's in a key that's already backed up on my system. So I will instead, rather than getting some tokens quickly, I will also show you how to back up and restore your keys. So I think we're almost done here. We can see some of the tasks coming through for the Blender example. Now we're just waiting to finish. We will send out some payments actually on CK-Sync to the providers that we used on the network. We should be able to view some of our output files. So there we go. This is very similar, or it should look exactly the same as we have here. So now that's done, let's actually go on to showing you a bit about the Mainnet functionality in this beta 1 release. So we can just search quite quickly Mainnet in our documentation, which will come up with using Golem on Mainnet. Right, so this section is going to explain to you how to run Golem on Mainnet. So the first thing is it explains how the different payment drivers work. So we have ERC20, which can be quite expensive, and layer 2 CK-Sync, which is a lot cheaper, and we can actually get some tokens and tasks running there relatively quick. So those are the steps that we will go forward with. So now it will explain to you about your Golem wallet and how you can get some tokens. So we've actually set up where we give a small amount of tokens where it's enough to send some tasks on the Golem Network mainnet. It's GLM CK-Sync tokens, but it's not necessarily enough to be able to withdraw those tokens and transfer them to a different address. It's more just for you to play around on the Golem Network and create some tasks on Mainnet. So the first thing that you would need to do is initialize the Mainnet account on CK-Sync, the steps that we will follow on to, and check the status. We can check the status of our account. So there we go. We've actually set up some, or I've already set up actually a account for which we can run some requests on Mainnet. And now it will explain a little bit about your funds. So this is how you could exit if you wanted to, but as I said, it's not necessarily enough funds to exit yet. We are more just showing how to do some tasks using the faucet, and the guide will also show you how to back up the wallet so you don't lose your key. If you happen to clear your database at any point, you should keep this key store safe, which naturally goes along with the section of explaining how to restore your backed up key. So we've actually already gone through these steps for myself just to have this wallet here. But for yourself, you would have your testnet address that you've already run tokens on, and then get some mainnet CK-Sync funds sent to you, and that should show up automatically, so you wouldn't necessarily have to do any of the backing up, the restoring, We just want to run some of the tasks on the network, which is here, running your Requestor on Mainnet. So we will just go with this command, but we will also need to add a specific subnet out of the default, which is subnet tag public beta, and that should be able to run our first mainnet task. So let's go through with that. Here we go. So we can see some tasks coming through, or some proposals for these tasks on mainnet. And we will eventually get some of these mainnet requesters giving us some offers they want to compute, and we will accept these offers and hopefully get the mainnet tasks completed. And while we wait, I can just explain a little bit. So we mentioned before that you can join chat.golem.network to get some mainnet GLM. You can also join the channel and just have a conversation with us. We would love to talk to you about how Golem works, about mainnet, about features. We have a developer community who create apps themselves that you can actually run. So these are examples, but there's also another example we've developed internally, which is the Yacht password recovery example. So I can show you there. It's the Yacht. So we will go into this, and this would be the example that you can run, similar to the Blender example. But on the community side of things, we have Awesome Golem, which is a repository full of links to different types of apps. So there's all kinds of, for example, there's chess, we have different developer tools, we have different types of password recovery, and a few extra things. So I definitely recommend checking out Awesome Golem, seeing and playing around a bit with what you can do there, or even try and develop your own application. So I missed to mention, I've also computed my tasks on Mainnet again. So this is the same tasks that we computed before. Just going to go back, change to the Blender. This is where our output file is, so it will look like the same output. There we go. But that's been done on Mainnet. So thank you very much for watching. Super excited for you to try out Golem and see how you go. Thanks everyone.